Hello everyone, long time no see. Happy belated holidays. I hope you're all doing well and had the chance to celebrate with loved ones. 2024 felt like a roller coaster for me because I've tried so hard to leave a toxic work environment for most of last year, and I finally managed to escape closer to the end of last year. So today, I'm sharing with you 9 lessons I wish I had learned sooner, and some of them I learned the hard way from my first job. And hopefully, my lessons and experience could be of a good resource for you to help you prepare for your early career. And the last lesson is the most golden in my opinion, so make sure to stick around. So I categorize all these 9 lessons into 3 main categories, including offer stage, work-specific lessons, and lastly, career-related topics. And just a quick background about my previous job. I worked at a cell therapy manufacturing lab in healthcare for almost 2 years, and this is my work day in the life video if you are interested to learn more about my role. Now let's move on to the lessons I learned in the offer stage. Lesson 1. Negotiate every job offer. I've heard people talk about this online and in real life all the time. It's probably an open secret at this point, but when I was just fresh out of school, I felt like negotiating salary was such a big psychological hurdle for me because I was scared of even losing the job offer and that I didn't deserve to ask for more. So here's my story. When I got my first job offer as a fresh grad, I didn't know better, alright? I was just excited to even have a job and start working. The job offer seemed okay, and I did actually try to ask for a $1,000 increase, and they gave it to me. At that time, I was like, wow, it worked, and they were generous. Until later, when I found out that some of my colleagues who were hired after me got thousands of dollars of sign-on bonus that wasn't offered to everyone. And mind you, me and some of my colleagues joined this organization when they were so short-staffed, and it was just not a fair practice. I don't know if all the organizations have this, but I think most nonprofit and government institutions are or should be transparent about their salary ranges. Most likely, you can only access this information after you get hired. So my position or my previous position only required a bachelor's degree, and I was paid around the lowest end of the spectrum with an advanced degree. And to sum it up, most times HR expects candidates to negotiate salaries. My quick and dirty guideline is to ask a 10 to 15% increase with proof of qualifications and experience is a pretty reasonable ask. Also, a word of caution, I can't guarantee this, nor could this work for all the job offers, right? So do your research, write a convincing pitch, and be open for feedback. Personally, I don't like why is it such a norm for institutions to lowball people to begin with, and I really don't enjoy the haggling process, but I guess that's just something you have to fight for. Lesson 2, research every opportunity thoroughly. I still feel really silly when I reflect on this, but here's the story. So during my interview, the hiring manager asked which lab I had applied for. Turned out that 2 similar labs were hiring for the same position, but with very different conditions in terms of pay and staffing. I really should have looked into both labs in depth and asked for the opportunity to tour them separately. But because I didn't investigate further, the hiring manager ended up placing me in the lab that was short-staffed and pay less. And later, I figured out that both of these labs do pretty similar things, so they should have a pretty similar pay scale, right? But turned out that the other lab that I didn't get placed into have commercial sponsors, and therefore they get more pay. So always research the specifics of every opportunity. Ask questions, compare options, and know exactly what you sign up for. Alright, moving on to the next category, the work-specific lessons. Lesson 3. Be ready for the result if you decide to challenge the authority. I've already mentioned that our team experienced a long period of short staff, so me and a few of my other colleagues were all so burnt out to a severe degree. We have tried appealing to the higher-ups, such as hiring more people. Simple, right? Or adjust the shift time so people could work more flexibly. Due to a long period of frustration and stress, some of my colleagues started to do bolder actions to challenge the authority, but I'm gonna skip the details of the bolder actions here. And they believed that, I quote, "This place is so short-staffed, so they can't fire me." But I can tell you that whoever decided to make that move didn't end up well. But the end result had almost no impact on the management, but on the rest of the team. Because guess who was gonna do the rest of the work unless everyone left? Generally, I think burning the bridge is not always a wise decision because, for one, you don't know how small the world could be sometimes. But I've also known some people who've made that decision because they were given no choice, and I understand that too. So whatever decision you've come to, you just need to be ready for the real result. If you find these lessons useful to you so far, please drop a like to support this channel. Now moving on to lesson 4, document everything. Evidence is your best defense. My coworker's story taught me a valuable lesson. She was relatively new then and had just been trained to work on a station where you had to work with an old and finicky device. It's known to cause issues, and one day something went wrong while she was operating on it. A few products were lost, even though the problem was highly likely caused by the device, which was something completely out of her control. However, she was blamed for this event by a supervisor. But the good thing is, she was prepared. She had kept detailed records of her actions, the behavior of the machine, and other conditions on that day, and investigated that it had happened to other colleagues as well. But she was the only one blamed for it. And because of her vigilance, she was able to stand up for herself and clear her name. So remember to document everything. See an error message on the device? Take a picture. Save the emails and bring it up with evidence. Alright, lesson 5. Set boundaries early. You have probably watched funny videos about people who don't know how to say no, or people who are too efficient at their jobs get to do other people's work. And it's totally true in the real life. Initially, I really wanted to help with the short staff situation, right? So I hardly ever said no to most requests. But later on, it became a trend that I was always the one who got asked for help from supervisors or colleagues when there were other people available. And on top of that, I was assigned the most tasks because I got them done early. And what's worse was what they said. There's always something for you to do. But this type of work culture just encouraged laziness, right? Because I saw people who spent a few hours doing one simple task. So even though later on I learned to slow down, but this was not how I wanted to spend my time. Because if I get done with my tasks earlier, why can't I spend some time to learn something new, something of my interest for self-improvement? So in the end, I was really frustrated and burnt out, either being overworked or wasting my time. Alright, moving on to lesson 6. Favoritism exists. People who are the best to play up to the higher-ups do less work and get promoted fast. This probably exists anywhere and should be of no surprise. It's just very frustrating and I really don't have any solution for that. But another point I want to bring up is that if you ever wonder how some people deserve to be at the management level, judging from their capabilities and work ethics, a good chance is that they might have strong support behind their backs. An example of such an individual who was a newly appointed supervisor at my previous place happened to be personal friends with the higher-up chain personnel. How coincidental! It's really sad that they could do a lot of things with that power, but unfortunately, it's really hard to get justification in that case. I've known people who made it an HR case, but nothing happened after that. Only things got exacerbated because now they were hitting head-on with that person. Alright, lesson 7. Do as I say, not as I do. If I were to list all the management double standard BS that has happened, it would take me hours. But I just want to quick comment on this point that some people really like to play the power game. Once I questioned one of the supervisors and the person responded me arrogantly saying, "Because I can." Honestly, what's the point of continuing to work with these people? Alright, moving on to lesson 8, red flags in staffing. Let me tell you, within 8 months of my employment, everyone I've worked with in the beginning has left and I became the most senior person in that place. It's kind of hard to judge whether a place is short-staffed over an interview or a short tour. And I feel like in most cases, if you were to ask the interviewers, they either dodge the question or they don't give you a straightforward answer. So I would advise that if you have the chance to visit your potential workplace in person, try to carefully observe the behaviors of the employees. How do they interact with each other? Do they look stressed or do they pretend to look happy? Talk to them, ask them questions, and most importantly, trust your gut. Alright, moving on to the last category, career prospects. Lesson 9, know when you should exit. I think after 6 months to a year, you get a pretty good idea about the job duties and the work environment. Do you enjoy the type of work or enjoy it enough? Do you get along with the supervisors or your colleagues? These are the most basic level of satisfaction for a job, in my opinion. And if your answer is no to either of those, I think it's probably wise for you to plan your leave soon. I would even say that 6 months is enough time for you to figure those out. But if you want to continue your career at the place, you should find out what the promotion path looks like. But I could tell you that some offices are so small that they can't offer everyone a promotion, and it becomes a game of who sticks around long enough will get it. But is this the game you want to play? How do you feel about competing fiercely with your coworkers who have been here just as long? This literally happened at my previous workplace. I've decided to leave pretty early on, mainly due to the supervisor's favoritism in unfair workload distribution, bad management, and no career growth. But I limited myself to only looking for jobs around the RTP area in North Carolina, and plus, I wasn't really ready to move to another state yet at that point. But I just haven't had any luck in finding a new job after such a long time of trying. So I only wish that I was to be more open-minded and I wouldn't have wasted so much time at that place. In this video, I share 9 valuable lessons from my first job, covering the topics from negotiating job offers to navigating workplace dynamics and knowing when to move on. These insights, drawn from my personal experience in a cell therapy manufacturing lab, aim to help you better prepare for your early career. Whether you're about to start your first job or already in the workforce, I hope these lessons can make a difference in your professional journey. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.